The Strip shimmered under the early Vegas sun, already humming with Life Street performers. Neon signs and blinking marquees clashed with the smell of brewed coffee and cigarette ash. Inside a sleek downtown café, the scent of roasted beans mingled with chatter. Behind the counter stood Maya Brooks, mid-30s, poised, quiet, and deliberate. She wore a green apron, her hair pulled into a neat bun. No one knew she had once walked Harvard's halls. Maya moved swiftly, wiping down counters between orders. She didn't smile much. Life hadn't offered her many reasons lately. But she was efficient, kind when spoken to, and always on time. The regulars liked her. Still, to most, she was just another barista, someone to hand over coffee and stay invisible. And she didn't mind. After all, invisibility sometimes kept pain at bay. Then the door chimed. He entered with a presence that demanded notice: crisp suit, gold cufflinks, leather briefcase. His name was Carl Wentworth, vice president of a real estate firm with buildings sprawled across the Strip. People bowed for him. Except Maya, who only looked up and asked, "Good morning. What can I get started for you?" Polite, neutral, nothing more. Carl didn't bother to meet her eyes. "Black, no sugar. Make it quick. I'm late." His voice had that cutting edge, sharp like ice. Maya nodded and turned to prepare it. As she handed it over, his phone buzzed. Distracted, he reached clumsily. His hand knocked the cup. A splash of hot coffee poured across the counter and onto Maya's apron and hand. She flinched, hissing under her breath. "It's okeb," she said quickly, reaching for napkins. Carl didn't apologize. Instead, he scoffed. "Well, maybe if you people could hold a cup properly." He stopped mid-sentence, but the damage was done. You people. The words hung like smog in the air. The café went silent. Even the espresso machine hissed disapprovingly. Maya froze, the pain in her hand dulling beneath the sting of humiliation. Her skin wasn't just burned by coffee, it was burned by a deeper, older wound. But she didn't shout, didn't cry. She simply whispered, "Sir, please." Carl rolled his eyes, tossed a $10 bill on the counter like it was a bone to a dog, and stormed out. No one said a word. Not even the manager. The silence after the storm. The cafe remained eerily quiet long after Carl left. Maya stood stiff, dabbing her soaked apron. The coffee had cooled quickly, but the heat of shame lingered. She didn't look at anyone. Not the teenage couple near the window. Not the older woman clutching her drink. No one said anything. Not even her supervisor, Jared, who busied himself with the register, pretending nothing happened. When Maya finally stepped into the back room, her hands shook. Not from the burn, but from the memory that never truly faded of being a child in Mississippi, watching her father be told to step aside by a white officer. Same tone, same disdain. Now, decades later, those two words "you people" still sliced just as deep. She cleaned herself up and returned to the floor. Jared gave a weak nod, but offered no words. The rest of the shift passed like molasses, slow, thick with unspoken tension. As she clocked out, Maya forced herself not to cry. She walked home, 12 blocks in the dry Vegas heat, because she couldn't afford car trouble, and the walk helped her breathe. At home, her small apartment felt unusually quiet. She brewed tea with the same hands that had just been scalded. On the wall was a photo of her mother, who cleaned hotel rooms on the Strip for 30 years, and beside it, Maya's own law school diploma, never framed, just pinned. She had graduated top of her class, but life had other plans. Maya had once dreamed of changing the world through justice, but the legal firm that hired her closed during the pandemic. The next job fell through when her brother got sick, and she took months off to care for him. The rent piled up. Then came the eviction. Her savings vanished, and she ended up behind a café counter. Dreams, like coffee, sometimes spill before they're tasted. She hadn't told anyone at work who she really was, what she had done, what she was capable of. In Vegas, people didn't ask, they just judged, especially black women who didn't smile enough. Maya kept her head down. But that night, she wrote it all in her journal, every word Carl had said, and how she hadn't fought back. Not because she was weak, but because the world didn't always reward strength when it came in brown skin. The next morning, she thought about calling in sick, but she didn't. Dignity, she reminded herself, wasn't about shouting. It was about showing up, again and again. When she walked in, Jared motioned her over awkwardly. "Hey," he muttered, not meeting her eyes. "That guy from yesterday? Big shot in real estate. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it." Maya's jaw tightened. Not out of anger, but out of quiet disappointment. She nodded and walked to the espresso machine. She wasn't surprised. Not anymore. But just then, something unexpected happened. Later that afternoon, as Maya served a caramel latte, a woman in her late 50s sat quietly by the corner, watching her. She was neatly dressed in a navy blazer, holding a leather notebook. After Maya cleaned a nearby table, the woman gently called her over. "You handled yesterday with more grace than most," she said, her voice calm. "I was here. I saw everything." Maya blinked, unsure how to respond. "I'm Angela," the woman continued. "I write for the Nevada Tribune. I was here yesterday, waiting on an interview. What that man did to you, it wasn't just rude, it was violent. And the silence afterward? That was violence too." Maya's heart pounded. She hadn't expected. Maya hesitated. "People won't believe it. Or worse, they'll twist it." "I'll let you approve every word," Angela promised. Maya looked around the café, the same walls that watched her every shift, where she smiled through disrespect, where her pain was ignored. Then she looked at Angela's kind eyes and nodded. The article was published 3 days later, titled "The Woman Who Didn't Spill Back." It recounted the incident in clear, powerful language. It quoted Maya's words about dignity and silence, and revealed, without glamorizing, her background, her law degree, her sacrifices. It spread fast. First locally, then nationally. The café saw an influx of customers, many just wanting to meet the woman from the article. But more importantly, it sparked conversations about everyday racism, about who we choose to ignore, about how we measure strength. Jared apologized, properly this time. He even offered Maya paid leave to rest and reflect. But something inside Maya had shifted. She thanked him but declined. Instead, she handed in her notice. That same week, she received an email from the University of Nevada inviting her to speak at a community justice seminar. "We read your story," the email said. "You embody what we try to teach. Justice begins with how we treat each other in the smallest moments."